Wealth is not a strange concept in our world today. It may not be within everyone's grasp, but we know some people are blessed with great fortune and can afford just about anything. These people include billionaires and multimillionaires across the commercial, entertainment, or tech spectrum who have mind-blowing wealth at their disposal. However, it is not these people's financial accomplishments that interest us. It is the timeless wealth of another group of wealthy folks who bask in the luxury their old money provides. As you already know, the old money sect refers to families whose wealth, name, and influence have transcended several generations and have been set in stone since before the breakthrough of modernity. Now, it is not only the extent of their great wealth that we find intriguing, but also the ability of these prestigious families to sustain and expand their wealth. As a wise man once said, creating wealth is not nearly as difficult as sustaining it. But these old money families manage to sustain their wealth in a way that seems almost effortless. The mysticism and grace with which they uphold their family legacy are commendable. However, the secret of their long-lasting wealth is deeply rooted in their strategies and traditions. Welcome to Old Money Lux. In this video, we'll dissect the strategies and traditions old money families use to maintain their wealth and ensure it endures for generations. So grab a bottle of your favorite beverage and ensure you stay till the end, as you want to make sure you get the ultimate strategy in the arsenal of these old money folks. In the eyes of many, being born into dynastic wealth is considered a massive privilege, but that's not all it is. Beyond the enviable perks of being born rich, such status also comes with huge responsibilities. From a young age, the sons and daughters of these multi-billion-dollar empires are made aware of their heir status, and along with this awareness comes a sense of responsibility. They are acquainted with their role in sustaining the family's wealth, and it is wired into the core of their identity that they are responsible for expanding their family's fortune for the sake of coming generations. Let's put things in perspective to understand how big of a responsibility this is. Old money in many families translates to 300 years old or even more wealth. In all that time, the wealth must have withstood famine, national crisis, depression, inflation, war, and other hurdles that the changing times presented. If such wealth that took so long to build and endured some of the most challenging times in history died in the hands of a newer generation, this would go down in the family's history with the greatest shame. Not to mention how unimaginable it would be to live with the guilt of terminating the family's legacy. To prevent such unfortunate occurrences from ever seeing the light of day, the older generation of family members manage the family's fortune and introduce the younger ones into the business earlier in their lives. This teaching and learning cycle occurs in every old money family, and the strategies and traditions passed across in each process equip family members to preserve their wealth. Let's take a look at some of them, shall we? The first and most apparent tradition old money families uphold is that they maintain an impeccable level of self-control. Old money folks master the art of self-control to perfection and know better than to give in to transient desires. A famous old money quote says, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants," which is a code old money folks live by. This prevents them from splurging on extravagant possessions, the latest fashion trend, or anything that can count as scratching a mere itch. Rather than live in a $1 billion mansion well within their financial ability, old money families are likelier to live in minimalist houses in suburban neighborhoods, away from the glitz and glam of expensive areas. This self-control doesn't apply to just housing. It applies to other materialistic possessions, including cars, clothes, and accessories. Their reasoning is always that there is no point in spending money on something that can only be enjoyed once in a while. This quality is so intricate in these old money folks that it has become more than a lifestyle. Hardly will you find an old money individual who dresses according to their bank accounts. This is why many people recount experiences running into seemingly ordinary people, only to find out later that they are heirs of multi-billion-dollar empires. Rather than spend money on material luxury, old money folks spend money on reasonable investments. Investments that can increase their family's fortune over time. Every wealthy family understands the importance of real estate, but different from old money families. Real estate is one of the most effective wealth preservation tools out there, and old money families are very familiar with how to wield this tool to their advantage. These families manage a rich portfolio of multi-generational properties, furnishing and artifacts. And given their standing in society, the value of these properties is always on the rise. Some of these properties are used as museums and cultural preservation centers, where some of the family's treasures are displayed for people to see. A classic example is the Winterthur property in Delaware, owned by the DuPont family, one of the wealthiest old money families in America. This is just one of the several properties owned by the prestigious family, and the culture and legacy each one holds have been converted into monetary value for several decades now. However, there are other ways old money families make money from real estate than monetizing historic properties. Some buy lavish properties in high-demand areas for luxury and put them on the market. These properties appreciate over time, thus increasing the family's wealth. This is one of the sustainable sources of wealth for old money families. Another tradition that sustains old money wealth is prioritizing education and experience. This comes as a surprise because the patriarchs of most of these families had little to no educational background. This shortcoming has caused these patriarchs to provide their descendants with as much education as possible to prevent them from experiencing the same limitations they faced. The children of these patriarchs got their education from Ivy League schools like Princeton, Harvard, and Yale, and their children, in turn, carried on this tradition. Unsurprisingly, many people from old money families are legacies at these prestigious universities. The purpose of attending these expensive world-class schools isn't just to gain quality education, but also for these kids to build valuable connections. Connections which could serve as an expansion to the family's already broad clientele. After these schools have offered all the education they possibly can, many old money kids are sent off to world-class facilities where they can gain hands-on experience and learn from the best. For example, a young person, heir to his family's multi-billion-dollar business empire, would land an internship job at a different business firm after graduating from Harvard Business School. He might even have a private tutor on the side, one of the best in the field. After a few years of foreign experience, the mature family heir would be introduced to his family's business and familiarized with how things are run in the family business. They might not be raised in the most conventional ways. Still, old money families go to great lengths to ensure their children drink deeply from the fountain of human knowledge and gain the most hands-on experience to prepare them for carrying on the family's legacy. Another strategy that guarantees the preservation of wealth in old money families is the establishment of trusts and family offices. In families with a plethora of property and a vast collection of fortune, trusts are set in place to ensure a smooth transfer of these properties from one generation to the next. By setting up trusts, the family fortune is protected from tax, lawsuits, creditors, and other legal factors which can cause the value of their wealth to reduce. This allows the transition of the family wealth from one generation to the next to occur according to the family's wishes, all with minimal loss. Besides trusts, old money families also have offices within the family that offer services such as tax planning, philanthropic advising, estate planning, and so on. These offices are vital in preserving the family's wealth between generations. The final strategy on our list is private banking and wealth management services. When it comes to finances, people tend to handle this with a certain level of peculiarity and confidentiality, and the old money folks are no different. After all, the role of banks in wealth management and preservation must be considered. This is why the finance of old money families is usually handled by private banking institutions which cater to their financial needs while ensuring a reasonable level of confidentiality that regular commercial banks cannot afford. Goldman Sachs is an example of a private financial institution that offers personalized financial services to many old money families worldwide. The company helps these families diversify their assets across several avenues to reduce political and economic interference with their wealth and the associated risks. Several old families have ensured the longevity and survival of their family's fortune and legacy by employing these strategies and traditions. Which of these strategies do you think contributes the greatest to the sustenance of their wealth? Leave your answers in the comment section below. Click the video on your screen for more content like this one.